All right, everyone. Welcome to week 3, Thursday Night Lights between the San Francisco Giants and the New.
Nope,
Oh my
nope, nope,
God!
nope, nope.
I'm thinking. I'm
Run it
thinking of.
back.
Oh my God! You know what I was just thinking of? I was thinking of the old. Okay, I'm sorry. Between the New York Giants and the San Francisco 49ers. You guys remember the old Francesa bit where that guy called up and he was like, "Hey, Mike, you think when the San Francisco Giants come to New York to play the Mets, they have lunch with the New York Giants?" And like Mike was bewildered, but it was great, great YouTube clip. All right, so I'm a fool, trolled myself. Uh, Giants at Niners. San Francisco is a 10.5 point favorite. Saquon out, but I guess before we get into all of the of tonight's talk, let's just do a quick recap on week 2. Boys,
Yeah,
what
so
did we
start.
see? What did we like? What did we not like?
All right, well, let's start with the elephant in the room here, if we want to call it that. The Jets got mollywopped by the Cowboys, and I sat on this stream and had the audacity to say the Cowboys are frauds and not a good football team. And Pass, don't sit here like it was just me. I had everyone agreeing with me,
Oh
and
no,
everyone was on board with it. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I still stand by that take. I think the Jets beat the Jets. I don't think the Cowboys beat the Jets. If you look at the box score, they had again one, maybe two offensive touchdowns, and I think that's being generous. They might have only had one, if not zero, and the defense just didn't show up, and that was that. Um, I'm feeling good going into Sunday for the Pats game. We'll see how we do. um, but sorry, I don't know what that was. Yeah. Also, the Packers fucked me, dude. That's all I needed, and they blew the game. I should have taken a spread, but they blew the fucking game. They had him on the ropes, ready to go. All they had to do was close it out and get a first down or two, and they just couldn't do it. I don't know what happened. That bet was as safe as one, and I almost cashed it out, and I didn't. And once again, for the second week in a row, the Sunny Days parlay did not hit. So you beautiful people were very sorry about that. We're gonna hit one of these one day, So
15 more
keep
weeks, 16 more weeks. So
we're just gonna
hopefully,
keep trying. It has to hit once, right?
yeah,
The odds are like very much in our favor. But yeah, I also just overdosed on tortilla chips before the stream, so I'm feeling great right now.
that's good. That's good, Jerry. Chris, other half of the country. Giants had a little bit of tale of two halves.
Historic second half for Daniel Jones. One to forget if you're the Giants, even a Giants fan. For the first half, defense looked non-existent. I mean, play calling. Obviously, the speculation of Dable taking over play calls for Kafka in the second half. Giants put out a great clip surrounding that and cutting into Brian Dable with his little playbook over his mouth in the second half. So I know we pulled it out. That's all that matters. I know it's against a weekly Arizona Cardinals team. Understand that probably tanking. I don't think they're the worst team in the league. I think that's probably the Texans. But
I disagree.
yeah, no. I mean, who would you think would be
I think the
the
Cardinals.
Cardinals?
No, I
Yeah.
think
get
I
it.
think the dude. I think the Panthers and the Lions play them in a few weeks. So, knock
Yeah,
on wood. But I don't know, man. Panthers look rough.
I think
yeah.
the Texans
We'll get
look better
into
than people give them credit.
Yeah, we'll get into some Giants talk here. I'll reserve my Giants opinions for later on in the stream, but overall, I think Anthony Richardson, 100% looked great. Unfortunately, he got out with a concussion. I took his over on passing touchdowns, but it was just by the luck of nature of FanDuel and betting in general that he rushed for 2 TDs before he got concussed on one of those TD runs. Packers let me down, like you said, Jerry. I did take their spread, but I did have them winning that game. It's unfortunate how they lost. I think the Falcons are actually frauds. Don't trust in Desmond Ritter. It's a shock that they're 2-0.
No, yeah.
Bears. What's going on with the Bears? Bears are collapsing not only from the win-loss column, but internally as well. So they are on the downward spiral. I mean, there's a whole bunch of speculation about their defensive coordinator resigning out of the blue as well. So that is just crazy news. So those are my takeaways. Just crazy stuff.
I think in Chicago, I think there's a little bit I don't want to say that was serving as a distraction, but I read some pretty fucking nasty rumors. I'm not gonna say them out loud. They're all
Yeah,
allegations, but
yeah.
like,
I was gonna say a lot of that stuff, like one of the things out there was that the FBI raided his house and Hallis Hall, and apparently Ian Rappaport put a kibosh at least to the Hallis Hall part. I saw that, but there's no denying, there's no denying they're a mess. From every off the field, on the field, they're probably just as big a mess. Justin Fields' comments yesterday were like, dude, what are you doing? Like you say something
he might
that
be
like
a Jet.
he might be. Well, let me ask you: Would you rather have Justin Fields out there over Zach Wilson right now?
Oh, easy. Come on, I'm not. I know it's the right.
I think Justin Fields is the better quarterback. I think the team is so behind Zach Wilson though, mainly because they fucking have to be. But like, I think they're pulling for him so hard that he's their guy, obviously, and a lot of the fan base is too. But that being said, like you watch some of the tape back on Twitter and stuff like that. Justin Fields hasn't been playing well, like at all. Like it's so it's kind of up in the it's kind of a fucking double-edged sword here. You can go either way.
But I like how much of it is like I just can't understand how like the other day we were comparing him and Lamar just like in terms of style and the mobility and like I think that they're both ridiculously talented athletes, right? So like that's one thing in itself, but like I don't think this guy is that bad. Like I know it, like he looks bad and he's playing bad. Like that's undeniable. His stats are horrific, right? And like I was never a quarterback, obviously, but like it just from the little things I see, definitely looks like he is not seeing the field. Like that seems to be the biggest issue with him. And that's why I kind of bring it back to coaching, right? Because like what are the things you can't coach? You can't coach speed, you can't coach a big arm, and like honestly, you really can't coach accuracy. Like you could have a coach help you with your decision making that's going to make you look more accurate, right? But like a coach can't teach you how to fit it through a tight window. That's just like you either have it or you don't have it. End of story. I don't think he doesn't have that accuracy. I think his decision making is awful, and you saw it on that screenshot of I don't know if it's DJ Moore. Someone's running clearly into the end zone last week, and he's looking the complete opposite direction. And it's like it's not the only time. Like it's numerous times throughout both games where he's just leaving guys wide open. And I don't know and I kind of feel for him because you hear about this a lot. If you kind of listen to what he was saying yesterday, like I don't think the kid was putting his coaching staff under the bus. From what it sounded like, it reminded me of listening to some of like, Chris, we're Mets guys, right? So like listening to some of the Mets players talk about the overload of information, and there's so much information given to us. And it's like a lot of information is a good thing, but what are you doing with that information and how are you presenting it? Right? Like I always found in school, my best and favorite teachers were not the smartest people I knew. They were just really, really good at adapting to the classroom, right? Because I had like the worst ADHD in the world. Anyone watching could see it clear as day on these streams. But like it's how they adapted, and they were able to put it in a way for people like me to understand. I think it's a lot of that too with Justin Fields. Like they're just throwing textbooks at this kid and he's not retaining any of it. And I kind of feel, I don't think he should have said this. I think that was kind of stupid, but like, I kind of feel him when he's like, I have to get back to what I do best. I have to get back to, which is like backyard football shit, which probably doesn't work in the long run, but in the short term, it's got to be better than the product we see. So that's just some of the stuff I noticed. So Alan Williams resigns as defensive coordinator in Chicago. Also, what happened today at Cowboys practice, I don't know if you guys saw this. Trayvon Diggs originally was feared to have torn his ACL. Now I'm seeing PFF confirmed torn ACL. So that really sucks.
That does suck. That sucks a lot for them. I
Yeah.
don't know. Just say that I don't know that losing Trayvon Diggs will hurt them in the grand scheme of things in terms of what they still have on the outside with Gilmore and obviously their pass rush, right? But obviously a huge blow. He's been having a great, couple weeks so far to begin the season, and for that to happen at all, period, but also just in practice on one-on-ones is what I think when it happened is even just more brutal. So
Yeah.
definitely a speedy recovery to Trayvon Diggs, but want to see how that Dallas defense now holds up with one of their star players on that side now gone.
And now, Chris, I want to ask you, Jerry, I think you're muted or something. I can't hear you. No, can't hear you, Jerry.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
While Jerry's figuring that out, Chris, and maybe if you're going to tie into it with the Thursday Night Football matchup, then just tell me to hold off. What you said before about Dable calling plays in the second half, is that something is that a permanent? You think that's a permanent thing the rest of the season, or is that they were in a funk and Dable took over like he should have? What do you think that is?
I think, and I was talking about this yesterday with Aaron, or a couple days ago actually. We had Hit Squad Chris on the Feeling Blue Pod, and Aaron as well. Obviously, hosts the Feeling Blue Pod with me. I think if you're Dable, you have like that needing to do that. I think we're all under the presumption just because they wanted to keep it in house. It hasn't been 100% confirmed, right? Whether it was actually Dable or not. But let's just go into the presumption that Dable actually was playing, calling the shots right in the second half. I think that you have to automatically lose confidence in your offensive coordinator in Kafka at this point. So I do think that come kickoff tonight, Brian Daboll most likely will be calling the plays. That's what I'll expect. I don't know how they're going to go and tie back in Kafka to this offense, but when you look at the first half play calling versus what was going on off the bat, off the rip in the second half, talking about a deep bomb to Jalen Hyatt in your first possession of the second half. Where was that all game in the first half? That is not a coincidence by any means, of any stretch of the imagination. Throwing a ball that deep to Jalen Hyatt, that is purely Daboll's doing. And Kafka was calling a very conservative game in the first half, in my opinion. A lot of slant routes. The run game, I mean, where was the run game? So no, I definitely agree with you. The way you tie back into Kafka back into this play calling is, I don't think it's going to happen this week. I know they want to keep it in house, so obviously there'll be more videos on Daboll holding his play call playbook up to his mouth and calling the shots or whatever happens tonight. But you got to lose confidence at least a little bit in Mike Kafka. And to be honest with you, I don't know as a fan if I would trust Kafka moving forward, to be honest with you. So I know this is Brian Daboll's offense. I don't know how they're going to work it. I don't know if Daboll's going to give Kafka the calls and relay that back to DJ, which is what seemed like it was happening on some of the plays this past Sunday. But yeah, that's a great question. You have to lose. Like my general answer, my clearly defined answer here for that is that if you're Brian Daboll, you have to lose confidence. Like it's something it might be irreparable at this point. We'll see moving forward, but you have to lose confidence in your offensive coordinator.
Are you panicking as a Giants fan? I haven't watched a Giants game yet this season, and I know things have been bad and coming off a pretty decent season where you defied expectations last year. But like, are you pressing the button yet? Like, I know New York and our media and everything tends to move really quick when it goes call for his head, fire him, get the fuck out of here. But like, it's week 3. We're going into week 3. Like, there's still a lot of like he was saying before. There's 16 weeks left. We got a lot of room for improvement here.
I mean, personally speaking, are you talking about in terms of just Brian Daboll in general, or just the whole team and on the season outlook?
Coaching wise, coordinator wise, coaching wise, yeah. The team's a team.
No, I mean,
you have Daniel Jones as your quarterback. It is what it is. You guys, I'm not gonna say you made your bed, but like you're putting up with what you can put up with. I get that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I trust in Wink Martindale. I know the defense has struggled mightily so far, giving up that 40 burger to the Cowboys, obviously giving up 28 points to a Josh Dobbs-led Cardinals team is absolutely atrocious. Tackling needs to be better. I think Wink Martindale gathers the troops. I think the defense is going to be okay. Mike Kafka is really the only guy that I would be, questioning at this point. But Brian Daboll, dude, I mean, this is year 2, and I said it on our very first Thursday Night Light stream. Like the Giants, in no way, shape, or form were supposed to be contenders this season. Like I did not go into this season expecting the Giants to be contenders, and it was a miracle that Brian Dable got a playoff win in his first season, taking over such a horrid organization from where Dave Gettleman led Joe Shane off to pretty much dry in terms of cap space, roster construction, the whole 9 yards. So no, I definitely not pressing that button right now on Brian Dable and this whole regime. But Mike Kafka, like I said, the conservativeness with Kafka, a Kafka-led offense does concern me. And I think that there's no tolerance for that, especially when you have more weaponry than you've ever had before if you're Daniel Jones, right? You brought in Paris Campbell, you have Jalen Hyatt now. There's no reason to be conservative with this offense anymore. You just can't have it. So yeah, I'm not pressing that panic button just yet.
Chris and Jerry, I'm going to swap you guys because I can't swap the handles underneath. Nope. Sorry about that, boys. No, Chris, I agree with a lot of what you said. I can't speak to Kafka because I haven't seen enough Giants. Like, I genuinely haven't watched enough Giants football to formulate an opinion on him. What upsets me the most is we know what Daniel Jones is, right? Like, he's not whatever. We know what he is. He's a middle of the road quarterback. Like that's got potential, but he's this middle of the road quarterback. But when people criticize the Giants, like first of all, to do it now in September to like bitch about that contract, that's just stupid, man. Like this was months ago. And as much as yes, he's a mediocre quarterback, like you could win with Daniel Jones. Okay. Like Brian Dable has proven that he could coach up Daniel enough to not turn the ball over, to play smart. Like he could do that, right? And his legs are an added bonus. And like to complain about that signing, is he overpaid? Like, okay, yeah, you can make an argument that he's overpaid, but like, what else were the Giants going to do this offseason? Right? You had way too good of a season to draft a quarterback, right? And you had now made it to the playoffs. You won a playoff game. So now if you like don't re-sign Daniel Jones, you kind of pull the plug on that. Well, now you're kind of telling your fan base like, yeah, we're kind of going back to square one next year. Like nobody wants to see that, because this team can genuinely look. Is he limited? Yes, but there's a lot of quarterbacks that are limited. Like our age, like our age group. Like I was thinking about this the other day. We grew up so spoiled when it came to quarterbacks, when you really think about it, right? Like there was a period of time from like, I don't know, 2005 to like, honestly up to like 2016, 2017, where we had 10 great quarterbacks in the league at any given time. Like those 10 guys may have varied, but we had at any given time 10 guys that are great. That were
it goes deeper than that. You can go further back than that. You can go back to like, the Favre and even Bledsoe. I know Bledsoe had a fucking bad ending to things,
but I wouldn't say you had 10 guys. Like think about like whatever 2010, 2011. You had Drew Brees, you had Tom Brady, you had Peyton Manning, Russell Wilson wasn't there yet. He was 2012. But you guys get my point. Like we had such great quarterback play, and now we're down to like, especially with Rodgers out. Like what do you have? You have Mahomes, you have Jalen Hurts. Herbert, who kind of hasn't really won a big game. Yeah, no, I know. I'm right. I'm getting there, right? But like from a talent perspective, you have Herbert, but yes, he hasn't won that big game yet. Like Tua, but no one really believes in Tua. You know what I mean? Like there's all these guys that are really good, but there's like these limitations. Like I love
separation is just immense. It's immense separation between the top dogs. Like you're saying, the 5 top dogs. You got fucking Allen, Mahomes. You can maybe toss Tua and what's the pretty boy from San Diego in there that I'm drawing a blank on his name right now.
Herbert.
Yeah,
Herbert.
You could toss him in there, and then.
But Chris, do you kind of get my point that I'm going with?
I get your
Daniel
drift.
Jones?
The only thing that I'll push back on is that, I mean, you just named Jalen Hurts, and to be honest with you, I know the unpopular opinion, and I know I'm a Giants fan. I know I'm going to sound like a homer. I don't know what Jalen Hurts does that is infinitely better than what Daniel Jones does, provided the talent gaps that he has surrounding that team. I don't see it. I don't see it at all. Hurts has struggled this season. I know he's had an MVP caliber season under his belt already, but when you look at what and I do want to go back to the point you said Daniel Jones is a mediocre quarterback. Do you think Daniel Jones would be as mediocre right now if he was in a different position? Say he traded places with Brock Purdy. You think that he's mediocre still? Because I don't think so. I think Daniel Jones takes a San Francisco team further than what Brock Purdy would do for them, to be honest with you. And I know that's
I think I
could
could take a San Francisco team to the playoffs.
Exactly. That's not saying much.
Well, that's the thing, Chris.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I wouldn't set the bar at like Brock Purdy because like I don't really know how good Brock Purdy is. Like I'll be honest with you. And I watch a decent amount of Niners games. Like, yes, he's putting up great numbers. He looks really good, but it's literally like the kid was born on. I mean, he was the last draft pick, so like credit to him. But like from an NFL standpoint, we don't really know how good Brock Purdy is. And like as long as Kyle Shanahan's there and all those guys are there, I don't know. So maybe a better comp would be like I don't even know. Maybe the Dolphins, right? Like I think people would call me crazy. Maybe you can kind of compare Tua and Daniel Jones. I don't know. Maybe even that sounds crazy.
My just original drift with this is that what do we knock Daniel Jones on more often than not? It's his decision making, right? I mean, he's got a decent deep ball. His arm's not a top 5 arm in the league. I'm not going to tell you that.
It's not a bad arm, though.
He has the ability. It's not bad, though.
No,
it's an average arm, and he can sling it, right? We saw that. He hit Jalen Hyatt almost in stride. Jalen Hyatt, probably second fastest receiver in the league behind Tyreek Hill, to be honest with you, with what he clocked in training camp at least, right? But what do we knock him on? We knock him on his decision making. We don't knock him for his arm. We don't knock him for his legs. We know he can run with the best of them. I mean, you talk about his rushing abilities. So a lot of these bad decisions are also accumulated because he's literally scrambling on most of his snaps. And it's inevitable that he's going to be flustered and make those bad decisions. Now, I'm not saying that Daniel Jones is going to be, I'm not considering him a top 10 quarterback in the league right now. I'm just saying that Daniel Jones at his peak in a different situation other than the Giants. And I know it's cliche to say because obviously the Giants is all that Daniel Jones knows. I think a lot of people write off his talent. So I would not call him mediocre like you just did, to be honest with you. That's where I will defend Daniel Jones at. I think in a different situation, you can unlock more of Daniel Jones. The Giants can't do that right now.
Put it this way, Chris. You have 32 starting quarterbacks in the NFL. This was the standpoint I'm coming from. You have 32. Where would you honestly rank him? Honestly.
Right now?
Yes.
Right now?
16.
Yeah. I'd probably go lower. I'd probably go 12, 13.
Okay. So that's kind of
fair.
Then that's kind of where I'm at with Daniel Jones. But if you're looking at 32 teams, if you're in that 12 to 15 range where I think most people would put him, that's mediocre in compare. Like, I don't think he has mediocre quarterback talent. I don't think he's a mediocre quarterback in general, but in comparison with the 32 quarterbacks in the NFL, I would say he's right at the middle, maybe a little more above average. That's kind of where I was. That's where I'm coming from on him.
I get that. I mean, he's got top 10 potential. He's not there yet. I think that if he was in a different situation, we could argue maybe top 10, but we'll never know because he's been a Giant his whole career.
And I will say this: the best thing that happened to his career was Brian Dable coming to town, like hands down.
He was out. He would have been gone. He would have been fucking bagging groceries.
He was on his last leg over there. So like, and you know what? So much of that too is like the New York media. Like the New York media is so quick to just cast someone off. Right? I mean, we still have people here that cry. I have Giant fans that cry to me that they shouldn't have taken Saquon Barkley in the first round that year, and they're like, "Oh, we should have taken Sam Darnold." Sam Darnold's a backup now.
Sure. Yeah, you should have. Go ahead.
What are you talking about?
I know those people too. I follow them on Giants Twitter, and it's brutal.
It's insane. It's insane. It's Monday morning quarterback nonsense. All right, so we got all that out. Let's get into tonight's game. Obviously, as I said, San Francisco home team, 10.5-point favorite. Couple of things I noticed, and we'll kind of, I guess, go from there. Talk about some matchups. I went on PFF today. Top 3 Giants in the past 2 weeks, according to PFF, which I think outside of one of these guys, I think we'd all agree. Dexter Lawrence at an 89.5. Isaiah Simmons a 75.1. I haven't, once again, haven't seen a lot of Giants game, like haven't seen too much of the Giants. I was surprised to see he was playing that well. I didn't know that. Darren Waller at a 73. And then when it comes to the Niners, three obvious, well, actually two obvious, one maybe not so obvious. Bosa at a 92.7, Ayuk 91.4, Javon Kinlaw 82.5. Chris, we'll start with you. One of the things I saw this week on Twitter was that it looks like Simmons is going to be moving into more of a linebacker role as opposed to safety. Is that what he's been doing? Because I remember when he was coming out in the draft, that was the talk. Because I remember a lot of Lions fans wanted him. And the idea was they would turn him into like a Landon Collins type of, Quandre Diggs, that type of guy that's like a safety technically, but plays like a linebacker. What's your take on Isaiah Simmons since that trade? Tell me what you think, and where's he lining up at most of the time? Is it safety or it's linebacker?
It's linebacker.
Okay.
He's been lining up. He's been playing. He played 20% of the snaps in Arizona. So I think Micah McFadden was questionable coming into today. I think they might have ruled him out just recently. So Isaiah Simmons really is going to take that linebacker 2 role right behind Bobby, right beside Bobby Okereke. And he's been looking great. He gets on the ball quick. I have full confidence in Isaiah Simmons, especially I saw a clip out there. He was actually one of the more vocal Giants, which is kind of surprising when we were getting blown out 20-0 in that first half. So that sort of leadership, being the new guy on the team, is something that surprised me. But no, super talented guy. I hear you in terms of the whole shake up on a hybrid linebacker safety type role, because he does have that speed. He's a little bit undersized, if we're being honest, for to be considered a true linebacker, but he is going to be lining up pretty much the linebacker position right beside Bobby O. He's been doing phenomenal. Everybody's been wondering why he's been playing such limited snaps so far. Micah McFadden looked horrible against Arizona. He was a guy that I was raving about in the preseason, as well as in the Cowboys Week 1 game. But yeah, expect to see a lot of Isaiah Simmons tonight, to be honest with you, with Micah McFadden out. And I think that his snap count is just going to keep increasing as we go on. And I think that we talked about this yesterday on Feeling Blues, that we don't know if he just doesn't know the playbook yet. We don't know why he hasn't been playing increased snaps early on. Obviously, he's still new to the team, 3-4 weeks in already, but super talented guy. I mean, he was the number 8 overall pick for a reason, right? Coming out of Clemson. Right. So a guy that the Giants were highly considering drafting as well when he came out of Clemson as well. So yeah, Isaiah Simmons, stud. Happy that Joe Shane pulled that move. I mean, you look at the return that the Cardinals got for a former top 10 pick.
Yeah,
pennies on the dollar with a 7th round pick.
That was crazy when I saw that.
It's a win-win situation if you're the Giants, to be honest with you. So expect to see a lot of Isaiah Simmons tonight. Yep.
Okay. Jerry, you got anything on that?
I just hope both teams go out there and have fun. With a spread like this, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm in the same boat as you, Pascal. I haven't watched a ton of the Giants this year. I know that they got whooped week 1. I watched a snap before I went to bed. And then week 2, I didn't watch the game because they were on the same time as the Jets were. So I didn't really get a chance to tune in. I want them to be good. I want to root for them. I like the Giants. But things have been not the greatest to my understanding. I have Darren Waller on a couple of fantasy teams, and he hasn't been doing what I thought he would be doing, but it sounds like he's also being valuable. Like, is he blocking, or he's not really catching, or maybe he's catching, but he's not really scoring, right?
I mean, he had 76 some odd yards last week. He turned it on in the second half, but just no touchdowns his way.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it is what it is. I'm sure they'll come. But I want to see the Giants turn it around here. I don't know, primetime games, we'll get into the gambling talk in a little bit. And for the record, I'm not choosing the Giants to win this game. I think the Niners cover, but I want to see them turn to the Jets a little bit. And they've had a somewhat, I don't want to say tough schedule, but 2 out of the 3 against probably you played 2 out of 3 weeks so far. You've played probably what I would expect has a chance to be the NFC Championship game.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So you can't really judge anything. We'll see where we're at in the end of the season. You still have a lot of divisional play left. You haven't seen the Eagles yet. Well, that's still going to be tough. But you haven't seen the Commanders yet. So
So
like,
you bring up the division, and we're going into week 3, right? Commanders 2-0. You guys are 1-1. Like, where do you see yourself in relation to the Commanders? Because I think you guys are a better team than the Commanders, which is
I'd
why, like,
agree.
I think like week 3 is like we always say we still don't know, but like, where do you? Because you're playing them in probably like 3-4 weeks.
I'm going to that game actually. Yeah.
That's in Washington, or
Oh,
that's
yeah.
in? No, it's at
No,
MetLife.
it's at MetLife. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll probably be going to both of them. So yeah.
Yeah. I was about to say it makes sense. Where do you see yourself in relation to them? Like, I think you have a better quarterback for sure.
I won't doubt Sam Howell. I did coming into the season. I think he has what it takes talent wise. I just don't see the hype surrounding him so far. I think that the Commanders, they also played the Cardinals, barely squeaked away with a 4-point win week 1. They played a Broncos team. I mean, they came back. Broncos dogged up on them early on. They made an impressive comeback. Broncos aren't really the Broncos are what they are, right? I mean, we
Broncos
know
are
what
the
the
most
Broncos are.
frustrating team in football, and this is
Yeah.
why. Like, this is another
There's
thing.
no reason why they shouldn't be good. They should be awesome. The Broncos should be so fucking good, and they're just not.
Well, they have a
Yeah,
stagnant,
it's-
but they have a stagnant off, and this is turning into like what grinds past gears. But like, you know what grinds my gears? When you have these old heads being like, defense wins championships. Really? Defense wins championships? Because last year they held like everyone they played to under 20 points. And they were picking in the top, or whatever. Their pick was in the top 10. I think they actually traded those away to Seattle. But like, you know what wins championships? Great teams, like 3 great phases. Okay. And that's special teams included.
Yep.
You got to have a good punt team. The kickoff is almost non-existent. You got to have a good kicker. How many seasons have we seen? Talking about the Bears before. Remember that magical ride they had in 2018 ended because they couldn't hit whatever a 33, 38 yarder, right? Like, it's you need 3 great phases in this league. Defense, great. You have great defense, awesome. If you can't score, eventually the rules are set up so that teams could score, because that's what drives up gambling and that's what drives up viewership. So yes, you have to be able to score. And it's a major problem. I mean, you talk about messes, right? Like Denver, not that they're a total mess because they brought in Sean Payton, but like, man, from a cap standpoint, from a draft standpoint, that is depressing. Thank God the Nuggets won the NBA Finals, because like they are going to have nothing to root for a few years. Like, it's going to take Sean Payton a while. And you could tell, if you watch any of those pressers and you kind of read those tea leaves, you could tell Sean is not married to this guy. And it's almost like the whole league has kind of like turned on Russell Wilson. And I don't feel bad for him. Guy's making a ton of money. I can't speak to whether he's a jerk off or not, but like, we don't hear anything good about the guy. And his play on the field, like night and day from what was going on in Seattle, which is like maybe kudos to Coach Carroll, because you did this for so long with Russell, and now you're making Geno Smith look like a pretty decent quarterback, which this was a guy that was on his way out of the league. So like, wow.
No, you took the words right out of my mouth. But I was gonna say, though, yes, he was playing under Carroll, but like also like now he's playing under Sean Payton, and like Sean Payton is also highly regarded as, I don't want to say one of the best coaches of all time because that list runs long, but like he's a very good coach who has this. Yeah,
but he's got a different style. Pete Carroll will hug you and kiss you. Sean Payton will not do that. Sean Payton's a dick. That's his coaching style. He is a dick.
I like to think Russ.
I'd love to play for him,
though.
What?
You know, I like to think Russ would be able to get down with that because he's kind of a dick himself. So I've heard. You know, like it's not. You know, like I don't know if he's necessarily. I guess maybe he is, and that's just a testament to why he was so good or very good in Seattle, and why he's fucking shitting the bed in Denver. But like, I don't know. I want, and he has 2 studly wide receivers that he just refuses to give the ball to week in and week out, which I don't understand why. And then they also have a great run game, and Jameson Williams, he's just not, he's just not bringing it. And I don't know why this isn't clicking. There's no reason why the Denver Broncos shouldn't be at the forefront of the NFC.
He will be off the Broncos after this year. Like if what we're seeing continues, he's not going to be there. Like there's no.
I agree,
way.
and that stinks. That sucks for the Broncos so bad because, like you were saying before, they hedged their entire future on him. Their entire fucking future.
What are you gonna say, Chris?
Yeah, it's a bad investment. I mean, it was a decent investment at the time. I'm not sure who's going to want Russell Wilson for the amount of money he's making unless the Broncos take some of the cap hit. That situation is a mess. Understood. I mean, Josh, my buddy Josh, who's popped in here a couple times since we started doing this, he's a Broncos fan. I just talked about this with him today. He was just telling me how Russell Wilson is just unbelievable in the first half, and then in the second half, I don't know if the game plan deviates away from them. I'm not sure what happens, but they just look like a completely different team, kind of like the Giants, but in reverse that we saw last weekend. But to go back to your question in terms of the Giants versus the Commanders, I think that this has been a battle over the years for who's going to take the third and fourth spot of the division. I think it's going to shake out this way again. Obviously, I don't think either team right now is ready to compete with the likes of the Cowboys or the Eagles in that division. Certainly not record-wise. But I think that it's going to be a split again. I'd like to think our roster is a little bit more up the road than what the Commanders have right now. But the Commanders roster really isn't that bad. They have the weapons. They have Jahan Dotson. They have Scary Terry. Brian Robertson Jr. is a top 5 running back right now over the first 2 weeks. Strictly just talking fantasy-wise, he's been putting up the stats. Defense, their front four ain't bad at all. I mean, they're borderline dominant. Chase, Washington. Yeah, their front four is legit. Chase Young just got back into the equation too. Got back into the picture against the Broncos. So I mean, I think that they are a little bit of an underrated team just because I've been able to watch them play more often than not, being in the area. But I'd like to think that the Giants still have their number. Daniel Jones has above a 500 record against them in his career so far. So we'll see. I think it shakes out to be a split though. Yeah, I mean,
D-line is Ron Rivera's bread and butter.
Well, Ron Rivera is also probably the reason why we beat them a couple times too, because I'm not sure.
Riverboat Ron.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he's still a coach in the league, but yeah, regardless, though, I don't think he's fit to take that next step for Washington. To be honest with you, I don't think he's the right guy to do so. That's just my humble opinion, but
yeah.
And I think he knows that too, because with the new regime, like I feel like he's kind of not on the outs, but like they kind of made it clear we're not married. Like same thing with Russ and the Broncos. Like we're not married to you. When they were buying the team and everything like that.
The only thing I'll give Ron, like I can't really speak to his decisions. Only that, like I know the guy likes to take chances. The only thing I will say about Ron is like that is a rough organization, and hopefully it gets cleaned up, right? New ownership group and all that stuff. But like that is a rough ownership group. Like the stories that came out after they got rid of Schneider, and not just the like I would say off the field, but like not just the non-football shit that was going on over there, but like the fact that this guy would just walk into the war room on draft day and just fuck with the first round pick. Like, nah, we're not taking this guy. Like when everyone in the room knows you have watched no film, you have looked at no reports, you have not looked at a physical, you didn't come to the combine, you did none of this. Like, could you imagine? Like, honestly, if that were me, if I were like a GM, I honestly think I'd walk out right there. I really would. Cause like, I'm not having my name tied to this. I'm just not. Like you want to sink this ship. That's on you, buddy. Like I just put months of work into this and you're just going to walk. Like, could you imagine that? Could you imagine? That's like infuriating. So like, that's the one thing I'll give Rivera is that he does kind of every year take a shit roster and like, not saying he's done wonders, but like he does have a playoff berth or two with this team. He does make them respectable every December. Like they're still in it. So that's the one thing you have to give Ron Rivera. And I mean, the guy was doing all this while like fighting cancer 2-3 years ago, which was insane. Yeah. You know, so like, I think I also just like, I have like a soft spot in my heart for Ron Rivera because he does seem like this like genuine, like old school dude, played on the 85 Bears. Like,
did he? That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was an animal back in the day. I mean, I don't think he started. He was like a rotational linebacker, but like still to say you were on the 85 Bears in like any capacity, that's pretty damn good. All right, so let's jump into the actual matchup because we kind of got a little sidetracked. That's my fault. ADD. Chris, we'll start with you. I think there's an obvious one. We'll go both sides here. What is a matchup that obviously the Niner actually there could be a lot of obvious ones. What's a matchup that's advantageous to the Niners and a matchup that's advantageous to the Giants? So let's start, all three of us, let's start with what's an advantageous matchup for the Niners against what do you want to start with, Chris? Because you're the Giants fan.
We'll go for the Niners. I'll say it's Bosa versus Neal. Evan Neal is gonna have his just work cut out for him tonight. I not only that, it's just that if there's anything that goes wrong, Ben Bredesen is out at left guard for us. Mark Lewinsky is stepping in. That's a horrible matchup for whoever's lining up against Lewinsky. But I'll just keep it short, sweet, to the point. Neal versus Bosa is what I'm looking at. Neal looked 9 days different against the Cardinals versus the Cowboys in Week 1. We know that's because the talent gaps between the two defenses are absolutely just night and day. So honestly, it's year 2, Neal. I know there's Giants fans out there that are talking about moving him over to being a guard potentially, starting year 3 if he doesn't figure this thing out quick. But yeah, just pay attention to Bosa versus Neal. Obviously, Bosa looking to get his first sack of the year. Advantage 49ers all day long.
Jerry.
I was gonna say Bosa against the Giants offensive line because I think Bosa is just gonna run wild. But since Chris already said that, I'll go to the other side of the ball for the Niners and say McCaffrey versus the Giants defensive front, and I think McCaffrey is just gonna run just up the nose, just be Christian McCaffrey and just have a game tonight.
I was thinking more of like a unit versus unit, but it's good that we talked player too. I was admittedly so. I was going to say I want to see the way the Giants O-line looks against Bosa and especially Javon Kinlaw too, who's their third best player right now according to PFF. I want to see how that plays out.
PFF is garbage. I just want to say that.
Not a PFF guy.
No.
I'm like here and there on them. But whatever. Forget PFF. I think what I want to see tonight, and I don't know, I'm gonna say the advantage would be to Kittle, just because out of respect of how good Kittle is. But we're talking about that hybrid role of Isaiah Simmons playing linebacker and safety. I gotta assume maybe it's not going to be all night, but we're probably going to see a little bit of Simmons covering Kittle, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Right. So
yeah, it's gonna by default, yes.
I would give the advantage to Kittle, but I think this is a matchup I'm genuinely looking forward to because I want to see, like, he's literally getting thrown to the fire right now. You know what I mean? Like, it does not get better from a coverage standpoint, from a blocking standpoint, from a pass catch. I mean, any metric you want to use, like maybe Kelsey could be a better pass catcher, I guess. But like outside of that, Kittle is the full package. The only thing that hurts Kittle is his availability, right? The guy gets hurt.
Can't stay healthy every game.
Stay healthy.
Yeah.
But you know what? I imagine a little bit of that too has to be the Niners kind of load management, you know, to a degree with him, where like they probably look at him like, dude, we need you for like 10 weeks and then we need you in the postseason. Like, we're going to win 13, 14 games a year, right? As long as this stays together, we're going to keep winning. So I don't need you in that December game against the Arizona Cardinals to roll your ankle and be out for a month. I need you come January when the Cowboys or the Giants come to town to play in the second round of playoffs. Like that's what I need you for. So I know it sounds silly talking load management, but like that is 100% a thing in football now. Like, especially
I agree.
as they're increasing the games. And when you're a team like the Niners, like you could afford to not have him in for a game or two. You really could.
Yep.
You know? All right, so flip it the other way now. What is a position that's advantageous in terms of Giants over the Niners? Where are you better than them and why?
I'll say Aaron said it here. I'm expecting the Giants to get Jalen Hyatt involved in this game in some capacity, especially coming off of a damn near 90-yard game in Arizona. I think that if there's a way, and you'll be hard to press to find an advantage for the Giants in this matchup. I think it's all 49ers all over the book. But if they can find a way to isolate Jalen Hyatt on one of those cornerbacks without safety help, he can burn the best of them. I'll tell you that. I mean, you looked at the play in preseason against Sauce Gardner up the seam. If you don't have safety help over the top against Jalen Hyatt, if you're a cornerback, just say a prayer is all I'm saying. If Daniel Jones can get it there, if he has enough time, that's the thing. If he has enough time to let Jalen Hyatt run that route, then that'll be maybe an advantageous matchup. I don't think Travarius Ward is going to go toe-to-toe, step for step with Jalen Hyatt. So if I had to guess, I would say probably Jalen Hyatt. And then if they can scheme up a look where they can get Darren Waller into maybe a double coverage up the middle, run a 2 tight end set, maybe you get Daniel Bellinger there, catch a pass block or catch a pass and run one up. So I'd like to see them scheme something up for Daniel Bellinger, a little bit of a surprise move there with all the attention that Darren Waller's been drawing. So, like I said, not many advantageous position battles for the Giants. They're going to have to scheme something up, which is why I don't think Kafka's really going to be calling the plays to start this game off. I think it's going to be Dable. I'm not sure. If any game that you bring Kafka back into this play calling, I don't think that against San Francisco is that game. So we'll see.
Jerry?
All right, you're gonna laugh, but like Chris said, there's not many advantageous matchups here, and the Niners have the Giants beat just about everywhere except for one spot, in my personal opinion. And so I might argue it's the most important spot on a football field, and that's at the kicker position. I think Graham Cano is aces. I think it's a very good kicker. I think he's going to be a big-time difference maker, especially for a team, no offense to Chris and other Giants fans out there, but a team that's not exactly getting it done offensively. You get him within the, I would say 48 and below range. He's just about 100, he's just as good as good. And then we've seen it in Dallas where you could win games on fucking field goals alone and kick 6-7 field goals and still win the game.
Yeah.
Not going to say that's necessarily going to happen here tonight because
it's not ideal.
The Niners defense is a force to be reckoned with. And it's also not ideal because the Niners offense is going to be putting up points. But, to have a weapon on your side of the ball like Graham Gano, I think is going to be very beneficial, not only just tonight, but in the long run for the Giants, especially given, the prominence we've been seeing kickers kick field goals and get those 3 points going up and down.
I don't know who these guys are, but this is funny as shit.
They're the guys. They're the guys. They came out from my channel. They're watching the stream, and I want to shout them out for popping in here. But I saw that comment. That was absolutely gold. So,
fun fact: my supervisor at work calls me Ron Jeremy. So, very.
They used to call me that when I was fatter, and then I lost the weight. And
That's unfortunate.
Oh, thanks, Jerry. Thank you very much.
No. It's not a slight to you. I was just more round. Ron Jeremy is just there. I'll tell you what I used to tell myself when I was getting called Ron Jeremy. It just means you have a big dick. That's it. That's all that means.
I wish the Lord blessed me in a lot of ways. Anyways, well, I was actually going to say kicker.
Oh, this is sad. The only advantageous matchup we have is kicker.
No,
this is sad.
I think something that is advantageous. Yes, the Niners probably have the best tight end in the NFL, but you could argue the Giants are the second best, the third best, right? Like Darren Waller's no joke. Maybe on paper he hasn't put up the numbers, but the biggest thing with Darren Waller is just been staying healthy, right? Knock on wood. As long as this guy's on the field, he's the guy is lightning every time he is out on that field. And even if he's not catching 10, 15 passes a game, he's still making a difference because you have to account for him. And you can't just throw a linebacker on him like you can with some of these other mediocre tight ends in the league. You have to devote a safety to him or a corner basically on every down. And so let me tell you something, Chris. If there is a way for Jalen Hyatt to get it going tonight, the catalyst for that is Darren Waller being on the field and being on the field at the same time as Jalen Hyatt. He has to. He has to. You know?
Jalen Hyatt also.
The stat line doesn't tell the full story with a guy like Darren Waller. That's what I would say.
Jalen Hyatt played 14% of snaps last week. I think that's going to be exponentially up. So expect to see more of Jalen Hyatt, more of Isaiah Simmons on the defensive side of the ball. One thing that I am worried about in this matchup, the 49ers defense is physical. They will put a hurting on you if you throw that ball and lead your receivers right into the middle of the field.
Yeah.
If Daniel, and I know Daniel Jones has done that already so far in a couple of matchups. He did it to Saquon against the Cowboys. He did it to Saquon against the Arizona Cardinals. You cannot leave your receivers out to dry in the middle of the field there. They will get lit up, and you are asking for someone to get their head taken off. So Daniel Jones, my only ask is that just take the sack. Don't force feed it into the middle of the field and get someone's head blown off, because I'm going to say Darren Waller is a great talent. He's a fragile guy. His body, he's a fragile guy. Let's just put it for what it is.
Yeah.
That's not a good recipe against the 49ers team. So let's be smart with the rock, and let's not get anyone killed out there, for lack of a better term. So
is that a common denominator with tight ends, do you think? Because we're just watching Travis Kelce come off an injury. Could have been more serious than it is. Granted, he's been pretty healthy, but you look at, like we said with Kittle can't stay healthy. Waller can't stay healthy. Mark Andrews has had his fair share of injuries. He's usually healthy, but he's been hurt.
I think it's these guys take these big blow up shots up the middle. And on top of that, yes, wide receivers block, but not like tight ends, right? Tight ends
are literally on the line. Yeah.
They're on the line. They're an extension of the offensive line. They're getting in the face of outside linebackers, edge rushers, and they get nicked up a lot. I mean, these wide receivers, they got a block, but no one's really going to kill them for not really giving a full effort on a block, depending on how bad the blow up is. Tight end, you got to be there. You got to be there, and you don't have to pancake a guy, but you have to buy enough time. What I always say is, as a tight end, at a minimum, you've got to get in the way. That's what you have to do. You have to get in the way of the defensive player making that play, whether that defensive player is a safety coming off the edge, if it's an edge rusher, if it's a D tackle stunting, which is still probably the tackle's responsibility, outside linebacker, middle, that's all on the tight end. So I think that's why those guys get nicked up. They're kind of getting the shit beat out of them every play. And when they do catch the ball, it's usually a ball in the middle of the field, up in the air, and they're getting sandwiched between a cornerback and a free safety who's got a free shot on him. You know what I mean? So and unfortunately, that's kind of just the nature of that position.
Can I backtrack 1 second to when we were talking about advantageous position battles for the Giants? Is it far-fetched, and I know I might get roasted when we look back on this after this game is all said and done, is it far-fetched to say that with Brandon Ayuk out, what was that?
Don't be scared. Say it with
Is it far-fetched to say the Giants have the battle between our rookie cornerbacks and even Adoree Jackson, who's a vet, versus their wide receivers? Is it far-fetched? Because I'm looking at no Ayuk. I'm like, who's going to beat us? Deebo Samuel? I'm not too scared. I'm scared of Deebo Samuel. I'm not too scared of him. You got Juwan Jennings. Who do they got on the outside? You got to stop the Dinkin' Ducks to Christian McCaffrey, and you got to stop Kittle going up the middle, like you just said. But on the outside, I kind of trust our cornerbacks in this matchup.
Well, this is why I like the under tonight, because here's the thing with playing the Niners. The Niners, I think, could line up every play for a full season on offense and come out in some sort of a power, a strong or a weak eye. They could literally run the ball probably like every single down for an entire season and still win 9-10 games. Like that's how good that O-line is, right? So I think they're going to come out tonight with those guys hurt, and they're going to look and say, we don't have to cover a spread. We don't have to hit an over. That's not our job. Like our job is to win tonight. So if that means we win a 10-3 ball game, that's what that means, which I don't, their offense is way too high powered for that. And the Giants will score more than 3. But like, I'm saying along those lines, like, I don't think they look at this as like, this is a statement game and we have to blow out the Giants. Like, no, they have no qualms with the Giants. The Giants didn't wrong them. They're not in the same division. There's no rivalry there. It's not Cowboys, Niners. Like I think they're going to rely heavily on the run game. I think the under is going to hit. It's going to be one of those games that's like not super exciting, but I think they'll have in hand all game because of their offensive line. And you guys, you have some players on your D line. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. But I just think it's a brick wall these guys are running behind. I mean,
well, where are those guys, though? Is what I'm saying. Kayvon Thibodeau, there was a whole controversy about him and his comments about how the Giants fans were booing in Arizona. And Kayvon Thibodeau, I get that he's been dropping back in coverage a little bit. He hasn't been the pass rusher that the Giants drafted him to be. Where has he been at? Where's Leonard Williams been getting paid $32 million a year? Where's Leonard Williams been at?
Yeah.
I mean, this front four for the Giants has what it takes to be great. We just haven't seen it so far.
Where are you at overall with Kayvon? Like before we close this out,
I'm not giving up on Kayvon. I just wary in terms of looking back and looking at what we could have had in that draft. And you look at a talent like Garrett Wilson, who fell into the Jets' lap, and we took a pass rusher from Oregon. Neal was the 100% the right pick there. I think Kayvon was a reach. I was happy with it just because I think Kayvon is a guy that just personality-wise, he's great for New York. But it's like when I look back at recent drafts, we look at, Devontae Smith, we got lapped by the Eagles. We passed up on Micah Parsons. We had Garrett Wilson right there, and we took Kayvon Thibodeau. It's like I don't want to look back and judge Kayvon Thibodeau by that, but it's like I need to see some production. You know what I mean?
It's hard when you pick that early. And Jerry, I don't want to step on your toes. If you want to say something, just jump on me.
I got nothing. Keep going.
Like, and listen, like my problem when I assess people, when I assess players in film, like I sometimes I'll admit it. Like I think I harp too much on little things that I see that like, and maybe it's just like the Italian guilt in me that like you think about the evil eye and all that shit. And, this guy gave you the Maloik and go, wash your feet with garlic or some shit. But like when I would watch those Oregon, because I watched a few Oregon games that year because I had heard about Kayvon and I thought that's who the Lions, I knew the Lions were going to be awful. And so I knew we'd have an early pick and we need pass rush and blah, blah, blah. So long story short, I watched a lot of those games. I didn't just watch his highlights. I genuinely sat down and watched his games live. And like he would make these ridiculous plays, right? Yeah. Hit the running back in the backfield, sack the quarterback, and he's got this big, broad-shouldered, long arms, long legs. He looks like he's like born out of like he came down from space, right? Like, but then he got these plays where he just takes off. Like the runs on the other side of the field and he makes a business. It looks right now. I don't know if but like, I don't believe that you're hurt because now a run comes your way and you make the play. So like that's what concerns
me. It's interesting you say that too, because I was watching,
and I don't say that to be a dick. I don't say that to be a dick.
No. I was watching my guy Zane and his live stream with I guess a guy, I think it's our lads, a recruitment. He has his own company. He does a lot of recruiting. He said that Kayvon Thibodeau is the typical guy that will get you 2 sacks in one game and he'll disappear for 3 weeks straight until you hear from him maybe 4 weeks down the road, get you another 2 sacks. And he just takes those games off. And I'm not saying he does it purposefully, but it's like you kind of wonder, it's like, what's happening?
Where's your head? Where's your head? Like that was all the reason, Chris, why when it was draft season, I was like, I wanted Hutchinson because not that I thought like Hutchinson is not more talented. Hutchinson is not particularly the better athlete. He is in no way, shape, or form better than Kayvon in any metric, in any way of measuring an athlete. He's not. But what I saw in Hutchinson is that I saw a dude that's probably never going to have a 20 sack season. Probably never going to. He may never win, although he may win Defensive Player of the Year. He almost won Rookie of the Year last year. If Sauce didn't have, that unbelievable season, Aiden was probably going to win it, right? But like Aiden is this consistent guy. You know what you're getting out of him every day. He's not, like I said, he may not have 15, 16, 17 sacks like Kayvon could, but he's not taking a play off. He's got that high motor. He's relentless. And you see it now where the Lions have their blitz percentage is awful. They've got 1 sack on the year, but who is leading the NFL in hurries right now? Aiden Hutchinson. And he's double teamed. He's double teamed every single play. So like, that's why, and I'm not rubbing it. It's nothing like that. That's why I pushed back on the Kayvon talk. Cause I was like, no, give me the stable guy that has a pretty high ceiling, maybe won't be a Hall of Famer, but like, I know I'm getting max effort every down. Give me that guy over the guy that takes plays off. And that's what I see at Kayvon. That scares the shit out of me.
And I won't even say I do hear that. I don't know if it is like I'm not going to just sit here and speculate that he does take plays off willy-nilly, whether he wants to or not. But I do think that some of it is just that he has been overmatched. He loves to his move is to power rush guys, right? And I think that his leg drive from his lower half is not stacking up to the NFL talent level like it did at Oregon. Like he and the two giant goofballs NYG podcast here said it. He needs to add some finesse to his game, which he hasn't found yet. He's a strictly bull rusher, and I think that he's just literally getting stopped in his tracks because he doesn't have that. If you look at his stature, if you look at his build, most of his power is coming from the waist up.
Right.
And that's another thing that
he's got a strong chest. He's got a very strong
but
chest.
His leg drive isn't there.
No.
So he's gonna need to get creative and find a way to get to the quarterback in a different way that's just strictly pure power. But also I want to shout out I guess your guys on Sundays his name is Facino. You guys
Anthony
Lee John.
He was right on with the Niners. And to your point that you just said before that the Niners feel no obligation to cover any sort of spread. Facino was on it in your live stream on Sunday. The Rams gave him a tough game. I mean, honestly, I know he predicted the Rams I think he predicted them to knock the Niners off, but it was a close game. So we'll see. It's not like the Niners, beat the brakes off the Rams. They were just right there neck and neck, but we'll see what happens tonight. I agree with you, Matt. I think that even though I would be more often than not tend to bet the spread tonight, I think that it has the potential to be a closer game than a lot of people may think.
So the only reason that I am like really high and mighty on this spread, and you can call it fucking Instagram propaganda, I don't know. I saw a statistic, and I believe it was like 8 out of 9 or 9 out of 10, something like that. Teams with spreads of 8.5 or more, something like that. Like high spread teams this year since the beginning of the season have consistently covered and beaten their opponents by 10 or more points each game. So and I think back, I mean, I don't remember exactly. I think the Rams spread was 7.5. I don't remember what it was.
It was
7.5.
Right. They kicked that field goal, which covered. If you had the Rams.
Yeah, so I mean, like, look, you look at that, like that's by the skin of their teeth, and that's one of the outliers here. But like, you think back to like the Ravens were 10-point favorites over the Texans. Ravens covered. I think the Cowboys were 8.5-point favorites over the Giants. Cowboys covered. Like it's these bigger spreads have been covering, and it's wild to think because it's so much points. But like one thing, I don't want to call them safe plays, but.
One thing that has that was said to me, I heard it on NFL radio, I think like 2 seasons ago now. Or it might have been last season. Pat Kerwin and Jim Miller said this. I think it's something like, don't quote me on the percentage, but it's something like over 50% of the time. Put it this way. It's usually, I didn't say anything about spreads, but it's typically home team on Thursday Night Football. Home team wins and the under hits, typically, because you're coming in on a short week. Now it's a little different here because I'm assuming Giants stayed on the West Coast this whole time. I'm going to assume they didn't fly back to New York. Am I right about that, Chris?
It's in Arizona yesterday, so
You are coming in and out. What'd you say?
they stayed in Arizona up until yesterday. They were
Right.
in Tucson.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this situation is different, but typically, like it said nothing about the spread, but it's typically home to. And listen, I'm not saying I go by this because next week Lions go to Green Bay, and you bet your bottom dollar I'm taking the Lions. Probably, I don't know what I'll do the over under with that game because that's not even out yet. And let's see who's healthy after this week because injury bug kicked us right in the dick last week. But if we're talking bets now, well, actually, we didn't even get a preview of who we think's going to win, but
I mean, I'm going Niners. I'll just say that I'm going Niners.
But you think the Giants cover the spread?
My heart says that the Niners will cover the spread, but I will say, with all due respect, that and just me maybe just falsely hoping out for a good game, I'll say the Giants will cover the 10.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jerry, where are you at tonight? Who wins? And where
Niners win, Niners cover, and here's a prop for you. If you go on FanDuel, the odds aren't the greatest, but if you lay into it, I think it's free money. There's two actually. I need it to load because I
one
forgot
of them
the
scares
officials.
the shit out of me. If you're talking about
no, I'm not talking about the boost. I think that boost is a safe play. You can ignore what I
should
said.
be. It fucking should be.
Yeah.
No,
but if Dickhead bets it, so maybe I just won't bet it, and you guys should bet it, and you'll win. Because if Dickhead bets it, he's gonna lose, and everybody.
I saw that.
On FanDuel, you go under game special features. They have Nick Bosa to record a sack and the San Francisco 49ers to win outright, -125. I think that's free fucking money right there if you lay into it. I think that's a win. Then
what's that plus
-125.
I don't like that.
So it's not plus money, but I think that's a safe
Bosa
play.
should get but he's going to be double covered. I don't like that. Somebody else will get a on him.
Then the other one I saw was, I think it was McCaffrey 25 rushing yards in each half, for -165. Again, free money. I think McCaffrey walked out of this game with at least 60, probably more. Could possibly break triple digits. We'll see. But I think those two game props are pretty solid. But they are the odds are minus. So if you're gonna want to make some money, you have to lay into it a little bit. You can't play $5 like I do. That's gonna win you fucking $2. But,
so Chris, Jerry, what are you playing tonight? What's your play? You can't wear a Vegas visor and not.
Listen, it's been a tough couple. It's been a tough couple weeks in Jerry's world. All right. I was gonna take this week off, but for the sake of the show, we're taking the spread and we're buying up the under to 48. That 43 under is too low.
Okay.
I think even that might be safe. 48 might be a bit of a stretch. You could probably get away with 45, but I think this game goes under.
Jerry, you're coming in and out. Chris, are you there?
Froze. Yeah, I think Jerry froze up a little bit. Let me. My picks are. Give me Daniel Jones over rushing yards. He's at 39.5. I'll take the over 39.5 for Daniel Jones. I think he'll be scrambling a lot. Maybe some design runs here and there to shake it up. Give me Darren Waller over on yardage at 47.5, I believe he was at. I won't parlay that. Those are my prop bets. I'll take an alt spread of whatever it's at for -7 on the San Francisco 49ers, and you can probably parlay that with a Kittle touchdown anytime TD. So those are something. Obviously, the little parlay alt spread with the Kittle TD is a little bit more of a risk, but I like those Giants prop bets in terms of the offense.
Chris, question about the Kittle anytime TD. Does that have to be a receiving touchdown, or it's just like doesn't matter how he does it? Like, because especially in this offense, like I know the Lions, I'm just asking because I know the Lions do this a lot, where they'll take a snap out of shotgun and just like turn around or rather under center, turn around and have a guy in motion grab it, and it's a rushing touchdown.
mean,
So
No, yeah, that counts.
that counts. Okay,
Rushing or receiving, that's a touchdown. So yeah, I mean that's all good.
Right.
Occasionally you'll get like 1 or 2 yard line, goal line. You'll get like a I formation. You'll have your tight end actually take the snap and have that extra blocker, whatever it is, a lineman, lining up as the fullback. So, whatever it takes, that's my bet. Kittle. If I like anybody to score tonight for the Niners, it's going to be Kittle.
All right.
I think that's safe.
That's pretty safe. If you're talking anytime scorer, anytime score is a little risky, but gambling is risky, and you got to be in it to win it. And if you're, in the words of my pal Marty, if you're scared, go to church. But tonight we're in the cave, and we're watching Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime. Kirk Herbstreit, love that guy. Who's the other schmuck? Chris Collinsworth.
Collinsworth, yeah.
Your boy took a big fat ass beating last week, so we're playing it very simple. We're playing it, and I fucking hit Baltimore money line for 150, and I still got my asshole ripped inside out. So you know what? Sometimes the football gods just don't love you. That was a little graphic. But that's okay because this is my show. This is our show.
There you go.
I'm gonna take San Francisco and the 10.5. Chris, I'm sorry, and I'm not offended next week if you take the Packers. I'm not. Same for you, Jerry.
Oh no.
Oh, it's Packers Lions next week.
It's Packers Lions, baby.
Oh,
baby. No,
that's gonna
spaz it out. I love it.
we got
that'd be a
good
good game. Packers are playing good football right now, even though they fucked.
Yo, fuck them. Fuck them and their cheese. Fuck them. Fuck Jordan Love. I got to tell you, boys.
He's the real deal, though.
I said I'm not going to repeat it, but can you guys all hear me? Because I'm not hearing myself.
Yeah, no, I can hear you. We got you.
I said some awful shit about Pete Carroll last week when the Seahawks scored that touchdown in overtime. And there was a lot of people in my basement, one of which was my buddy's new girlfriend. And this was her first time here. And she's a Bills fan. She's having a really good time. And I said some shit at the TV that I never said out loud before, all directed at Pete Carroll. I totally take that back. Sorry, Pete. I don't think you're losing sleep on it. You do have a Super Bowl and a couple of NCAA national titles. But I did say that. And so that's why maybe it's good that sometimes we turn the camera off, because sometimes we say a bunch of shit on a Sunday when we're covered in wing sauce and we're on, one too many beers. We say shit about Pete Carroll, and that's all right. It's okay. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I did.
These things happen. Listen, you should have been in the living room. Yeah,
They happen, especially when you have the Lions money line in every other fucking parlay and every leg of that parlay hits, and you could have had a surplus of money last week, but instead you did not. But
minus the money line, you said, right?
Yeah, well, I had it on parlays for because I was feeling good. I was feeling real good. I was riding high off the KC win, and I was like, yeah, they're missing both their tackles. We should fucking handle them. Spoiler alert, we fucking didn't.
Yeah,
so
that was brutal.
That was brutal. That hurt. Chris, you were texting me. Wasn't sure if you were fucking with me or not. You don't seem like that kind of guy.
With you, man. That was brutal.
No. It was a brutal showing. So, going back to gambling, I have San Francisco at 10.5. Don't particularly love it, but I am petrified. And I know the safest bet on paper is that parlay, the odds boost parlay, that FanDuel odds boost parlay you sent before. McCaffrey 50 plus rushing yards, and who was the other one? Was it Kittle? It wasn't Kittle.
Yeah.
Was it Kittle at 50?
No, you talking about yards? The boost?
What was the odds boost?
It was CMC over 50 rush yards combined with Debo over 50
receiving
yards.
With
That
Ayuk
should-
out, that's gonna hit. That's gonna
Yeah,
hit.
no,
now
it
that
should, but,
Ayuk's not playing.
it's a fucking FanDuel odds boost, and they're roping everybody in because they know something.
It went
So-
from 110 to plus 200, so I'm
Man.
not sure what's going on there.
Honestly, fuck the
Really?
books. Fuck the books. I just want to win. Just want to win some money.
I don't
Tired
have a
of
single one
losing.
yet. I hit
Tired
one
of losing.
Week 1 college football. I got nothing else. to
And
show
we
for
do it every week. We do it every week, right? We're like, fuck this. I am done. And then Sunday morning, we wake up and do the show, and I'm like, oh, I think I'm going to hit all my bets, and I'm going to come back, and this is going to be great. And it's not great. It's not great. But we do this. This is the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. We do this every fall, like without fail.
Bears,
That
the
we
Bears
do.
are on the ban list. I'll say that. Bears banned. Done.
Who was
Vikings banned.
Were you
I was on the
betting
Bears,
the
man.
Bears?
I was on the
I
Bears,
was betting
man.
the Bears, dude. I lost fucking. I lost some money on week 1 against whoever they put in that 4:00 game of the Packers. I went all in on the Bears against the Packers because I thought
The
Bears
Bears
were
are
gonna fucking
about
clean the
as
Packers.
reliable. They are about.
I don't
That
blame
was
you,
about
Jerry.
as. Chris,
Right?
that's
That's
like
a safe bet.
that's a safe bet. You know what else was a safe bet?
Well, it
The,
was
safe,
a safe
the
bet
safety,
before
the
kickoff,
safety
and
on
now we
Plaxico
know.
versus pistol. But we all know how that ended up, right? Right? How'd that go? How'd that
Too
go?
soon. Too soon.
Don't talk
Too
about that.
soon?
That is a
It's
sore
07.
topic for
Was it-
us.
was it
That's a
07?
sore topic.
Listen, you're
Yeah,
talking
it
about
was
Jets alumni Plaxico
07,
Burris,
08.
all right?
Jesus.
Oh.
For Life Niner here in the comments says, if the Giants win, what does that say about the Niners? I don't think that says anything about the Niners, to be honest with you. And shout out For Life Niner. I think he's new here, checking out the channels.
awesome. Thank you. Thank you. We don't
he
get a
rocks
lot
with
of
us. So
visiting team.
Come back on Sunday.
yeah, I don't
buddy.
think this is.
Come back on
Yeah,
Sunday.
come back
Yeah.
Sunday, 4-9 Lifer. Actually, I definitely said your name, 4Life Niner. Sorry. Chris, hopefully we're getting you on Sunday. I'm praying. I'm hoping we
Yeah,
get
yeah.
you. We
Yeah,
should have
I'll be there. I think I'll be
same
there. I'll
lineup.
make that work. I'll make that work with
Oh,
you.
we're going with the quad box.
No,
Or Facino's
Lee
out.
John Anthony has to go to the Jets game. So
okay.
he will not. It's a 1:00, so we're not going to be able to get him. So
I was
we'll
this
just
close to being present for the Commanders Bills game this week with my boy, my roommate, but I couldn't do it logistically. It's not working out, the tailgate. So I will be on 10 a.m. sharp with
Nice.
you all on Sunday.
beautiful.
Sounds
Okay.
good to me.
All right, boys. We got anything else?
I think that's it, man. I think that's it. I think the Niners are the clear lock here. I think minus 560 for their money line is just not great value at all. If
No.
you want to do an alt spread, however you want to do it. I'm going to say the Giants cover, but I will not be surprised if the Giants also get blown out by 20. I'm just hoping we keep it close. I just want to see some fight. That's all I got.
If you're going to
Yeah,
take
baby,
an alt
let's go,
spread,
G-Man.
if you're going to take an alt spread with I wouldn't touch this spread. If you're going to bet on the spread, if you're that confident in the Niners, take the spread, right? Like that's the way you should do this. If you're going to take an alt spread, you have to throw it in a parlay, and it could be with two other things that you think are going to happen, whatever those two things may be, right? But I would not fuck with that spread. I certainly wouldn't take the money line because that's just unless you have money to burn. And
Yeah.
if you're gonna fuck with that spread in any way, shape, or form, other than if you want to add to it, God bless you. If you want to take away from it a little bit, definitely throw that into a parlay with like two other things that you think are very obvious, even if it's low money. I would feel much more comfortable throwing 50 to win 100 on three things that should happen, that really should happen, as opposed to, just throwing $300 on fucking Niners 5.5. That's don't get into that world.
Can I say something real quick? Let me look at what the odds are here because For Life Niner brought it up. Good point. Anytime touchdown scorer. I think a lot of people don't give him credit. Where's he at right now? Is he even playing? Kyle Juszczyk, plus 1,100.
Oh shit, we got
fullback.
Stevie Mack. What's up, Stevie Mack? Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, my boy Stevie from
Is
Nets
that-
fan. But Kyle Juszczyk, plus 1,100. Sleeper.
That's the
Just wanna throw that out.
fullback, right?
He is a Long Island
Fullback.
resident, by the way. Kyle Juszczyk. If anybody's
Is
wondering.
he?
Yeah.
I don't know if I was supposed to say that. but he lives on Long Island.
Just something I didn't know that. I would think he
Lives
probably
or
would
is
not
from?
want you to say that, but
He's here in the off season. I don't know what I think I should stop speaking because
yeah, just
my
stop.
my sister-in-law
Just
is like friends with his fiance or something. I probably shouldn't have said that. So, but it's fine. Long Island's big. It's totally.
Yeah.
He's probably not listening, so we're good. He's got a game to play.
Yeah.
A touchdown to score plus 1100 on FanDuel. Just throwing
What's
it out
plus
there. Shout out
1100? I
4Life
lost you, Chris. I have
Kyle
attention
Juszczyk.
deficit disorder.
Kyle Juszczyk.
Kyle
touchdown.
Juszczyk, anytime touchdown. Yeah, fullback. Listen, everyone's in on CMC. You can definitely see Kyle Juszczyk. They scheme something up for Kyle Juszczyk, and he scores tonight.
I feel like
I'm
he
not
always
saying-
scores in primetime games.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
Okay.
not a bad bet. That's all I got.
All right, guys. Jerry, you got anything else?
No, we're good. Sit tight. We'll be right back here on Sunday morning, 10 a.m. sharp, ready
Yeah.
to go. The full slate ahead of us.
Yeah, fucking A. Sunday, we're going to come in amped up. I'm going to try not to be hungover, but I might be. But I'm going to try not
That's
to be.
all right.
We're going to be fucking loud. We're going to be in your face. Chris, we're going to be in your ass. We're not going to be in Chris's ass. He's all the way in Washington. But
Oh, actually,
no.
and yeah, and I expect to see Niners for life or for life Niner, whatever the fuck your name is.
yeah.
You better be here on Sunday morning. We want to go.
Yeah.
We want to go coastal with this shit. We want to get some of your people out there.
yeah,
If you
Let's
want
get all the
to, if you
people.
want to make money
Yes,
with us,
sir.
if you want to make
Yes,
money
sir.
with us,
That's the energy.
let's go.
That's the energy.
Chris, we have to hit
Let's go,
bets
baby.
for people to make money on us, Chris. The parlays haven't hit.
No,
We're
we're
in
over
bad shape.
two.
We're
We're
over
over
2.
two.
But that's
Confidence. We
okay.
gotta get this
Because we can
confidence.
always turn it around, baby. Because it's Thursday night. It's Thursday night. Ride with the boys.
Any given
All right.
Sunday.
We'll see you. We'll see you Sunday, 10 a.m. Be there or be square. I sounded like a
Yeah,
loser
Joe.
when I said that.